Oh yeah, federal layoffs. Let's go! Everybody, let's go! They're finally doing it. In the Department of Education, of course. Yeah, we'll see how substantial these layoffs end up being. Happy 10th day of the federal government shutdown, by the way. We're well on our way to setting some records. Basically been no motion in the federal government, you know, no movement forward. We're not any closer to a resolution. So, yeah, let's get we don't need a federal government basically. Come on.
On the 10th day of the government shutdown, the director of the
On the 10th day of the shutdown, vote gave to me 2,000 fewer DOE employees.
Office of Management and Budget says federal firings are now underway. Russ Vought just tweeted the following one-line sentence. He said the rifts have begun. It's, of course, an acronym that means reduction in force or terminations. CNN's Arlette Saenz has the latest from Capitol Hill. Arlette, what can you tell us?
Well, Brianna, this marks a significant escalation in the government shutdown fight.
At Vosh, beautiful singing and clever improv. Thank you. That's the shit I want to see from chat anytime I try out anything, you know? I want it to read like the AI summary of a favorable Google review. Paid chatter? You can't prove that.
As President Trump is now making good on his threats for potentially conducting mass layoffs within the federal workforce if this shutdown dragged on. Now, we're still learning to trying to learn exactly how many federal workers will be impacted by these layoffs. But an OMB spokesperson said that the number is expected to be substantial. The White House at one point had previously floated that layoffs could potentially number into the thousands. So we will work to learn more about who is exactly impacted. But the White House had made clear going into this that the programs that they would target would be ones that did not align with President Trump's priorities. And he has said time and time again that any cuts that they will be making will be to Democratic programs. But this comes after Trump had really held off for a little bit of time in enacting these mass layoffs. There have been Republicans up here on Capitol Hill who have warned of the political perils that mass layoffs could have relating to the federal workforce. And so still, there's a lot to learn about who exactly will be impacted.
Some of the GS federal workers got called back and are working without pay, and service members are being offered all food and essential and layaway at base commissaries till the shutdown is over. Yeah, my understanding right now is that, like, they are doing layoffs, or at least they've announced layoffs, but so far, like, a lot of it's kind of ambiguous. Some people are on leave, and some people are being forced to work without pay. Well, forced, you know, they can quit. Are being directed to work without pay. And then there's been an indicator of broader layoffs, but also a lot of people are saying they haven't seen anyone get the pink slip. So I have no idea. I stand by what I said before, which is the longer this goes on, the more people blame Republicans, especially when they do really stupid fucking shit, like say they don't want to offer back pay. The more people get fired, who fucking cares? They were going to fire them anyway. They already wanted to fire them, and they're probably going to fucking rehire them back anyway, okay? Like they did after the Doge layoffs.
But this is just another point that Republicans are trying to make as they're trying to exert greater pressure on Democrats to change their mind.
Even just the threat of the layoffs has boosted the Dem candidate for governor in Virginia by 6 points. Nice.
Approach to the shutdown.
And Arlette, today marks the first time that many federal employees begin seeing the impacts of the shutdown on paychecks. Of course, members of the military are poised to begin going without pay next week.
Yeah, Brianna, many federal workers started to see smaller paychecks today, and October 15th is a date that we have all been keeping our eye on. That is the first check that members of the military will miss if this shutdown drags on. Right now,
historically, things go great for the administration when the military stops receiving their paychecks. Just, I've read a lot of history, and the one thing that I don't see crop up time and time again is that being able to pay your soldiers is really fucking important.
It is out of session until early next week, so it does not seem like there is going to be an immediate resolution to this issue. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson has been facing some pressure to bring up a standalone bill that would guarantee pay for the military as this shutdown.
Almost like you're fucking desperate to keep them on your side because you know that using the military to suppress local dissent is pretty much your #1 best bet for making it forward. No, I see it. I see it. Democrats better not support that shit.
continues. There are over 100 House Republicans who have signed on to a standalone measure on that matter, but the Speaker told me earlier today that he does not plan to bring that up. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We have already had those votes. We have done that. We did it 3 weeks ago. The Republican Party stands for paying the troops. The Democrats are the ones that are demonstrating over and over and over now 8 times.
I see. They don't want to risk putting forward this bill because he understands that he's already being blamed for the shutdown. And by passing a bill that selectively pays the military, it's an acknowledgement that the Republicans could, in fact, get the entire bill passed if they wanted to negotiate, but they're not, so it doesn't. This would be an element of them negotiating. They're like, oh, okay, well, what about this selective one? Oh, so you can negotiate to put forward people's pay.
That they don't want troops to be paid.
Now, the Speaker also told reporters that bringing up a vote on a standalone bill to fund military pay would be a pointless exercise because he said the votes just aren't there in the Senate. But we have been talking to lawmakers from both chambers who have said that they would like to see action on this as those military families are bracing for missed paychecks starting next Wednesday.
Yeah, I've been talking to military families.
They already caved? No, this is the National Defense Authorization Act for 2026. This is a different thing.
Who certainly do not feel that it is pointless. They would love to see how people would vote on that. Arlette Saenz live for us on the Hill. Thank you.
As we continue to follow the fallout from the government shutdown, the White House today now making good on its threat to fire federal workers.
And this is coming on the 10th.
Don't forget they'll go without pay after being forced to watch Hegseth's speech. Number 1 optimized plan to get military on your side, okay? Step 1, get every general in the world to fly over. It doesn't matter if they have plans. They need to fly over right now. Step 2, have a drunk retard yell at them for an hour. Tell them they're going to have to do fitness tests quarterly, even though they're 65. Step 3, don't pay them. Step 4, Mr. Pentagon, please, can you please deploy troops to voting locations so we can win the election? Can you please, sir? We really need you, Mr. Pentagon, sir. We really need you to help us out with this one. Fucking genius!
Day of the shutdown with no solution in sight at this point. And we're joined now by pollster and communication strategist Frank Luntz. Frank, as we're hearing word that people are going to start getting riffed, right? So some folks who are furloughed are going to start getting fired. I wonder sort of what the risk factors are here politically. Because you have both sides at this point playing chicken. So
only in a democracy could they get to step 4. Isn't democracy wonderful? In any other system, the military would have already killed them. That's true. A testament to the strength and enduring nature of our institutions that anyone could survive making plays this bad with the military. Jesus Christ.
What questions
if this was Rome, the Rubicon would have been crossed a long time ago, okay?
Asking about how this is going to play out.
I'm wondering, and you set it up perfectly, I'm wondering how they're going to communicate this. The public was overwhelmingly in favor of ending wasteful Washington spending, of making the government more efficient, more effective, and more accountable. And yet, month after month of DOGE and efforts in Washington to make those changes did not receive the same kind of public support that they did in the initial polling, in the initial conversations. And the reason why is communication. Rather than doing this as support for the American taxpayer and as acknowledgement the government had gotten too big and too ineffective, too unwieldy, it seemed like it was being done out of vengeance, out of punishment. And nobody was looking for that. That in the end, these are human beings and how they were being eliminated.
I don't care for this analysis. Hold on. Somebody's saying that Mike Pence is getting roasted on C-SPAN by his voters.
On the Republican line, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Samantha, you're on with Speaker Johnson.
Hi,
Hi, Mr. Johnson. So my question or comments are related to what you said yesterday about not being open to pass any legislation to ensure that military gets paid. I'm sure you can tell by my voice I'm very shaky. Just want you to hear a little bit about my family. I have 2 medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves this country. He suffers from PTSD from his 2 tours in Afghanistan. If we see a lapse in pay come the 15th, my children do not get the medication that's needed for them to live their life, because we live paycheck to paycheck. I heard you earlier say that you side with President Trump on anything that he says. Well, I just read an article this morning that said he absolutely wholeheartedly believes that there needs to be legislation put in so that we do not miss a paycheck. You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay.
Oh, if you don't like your medical bills thus far, lady, I have got some bad news for you. If the Republican version, I'm gonna guess, judging from how you from your problems, you probably rely on some kind of Medicaid. You are not gonna be happy with what happens to your insurance premiums if that GOP version of the funding bill goes through.
Particularly, you could stop this, and you could be the one.
VA, still not happy.
That could say military is getting paid, and I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes 6 figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right, Samantha.
Samantha, I'm so sorry to hear about your situation. The reason I've been so angry this week, and they've been calling me out on media, Johnson's angry. I am angry because of situations just like yours. I have a big military district, and my district is the home of the Global Strike Command at Barksdale Air Force Base and Fort Polk, the Joint Readiness Training Center. I have one of the biggest military districts and military families in America. I have a lot of airmen and soldiers who are deployed right now, and they have young families at home, and they have children in health situations like yours. This is what keeps me up at night. I want you to hear something very clearly.
Again, remember, Republicans are at their strongest rhetorically when they're talking down to people they hate and want to kill. And they're at their weakest rhetorically when they're trying to pretend they're not demons.
Republicans are the ones delivering for you. We had a vote to pay the troops. It was the continuing resolution 3 weeks ago. Every single Republican but 2 voted to keep the government open so that your paycheck can flow. Every Democrat in the House, except for 1, voted to close it. The Democrats are the ones that are preventing you from getting a check. If we did a vote on the floor to pay troops, it's not a lawmaking exercise because Chuck Schumer is going to hold that up in the Senate. He is demonstrating by voting now 6 times to keep the government closed that he does not want the troops to be paid. And you should listen to his comments last night, as reported this morning. He is enjoying this. He said every day gets better.
You can't do this when at the same time Trump and Vote are gloating and posting, here comes the Reaper. You're like, you yourself have gloated about how the shutdown enables the president. You can't do that. You can't do it. You need message clarity. Even fascists need message clarity. If anything, fascists need it more. Fascists need it more than Democrats because you have nothing else to fall on. Rhetoric's your whole game.
Better for us, quote unquote. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are preventing your family from getting the care they need, not Republicans, and my heart goes out to you.
And just so you know, Politico is reporting that House Democrats are preparing a letter to you, Speaker Johnson, urging a vote.
Preparing a letter
on troop pay.
You know why they are? Because they all voted on the record 3 weeks ago to stop pay for the troops. They're desperate to try to get on record, but that would be a show vote for Democrats. They do not care about it. They demonstrated that with their votes. Look at what they do and how they vote.
This is such a shit show, man, and it's working so badly for him.
Okay, we are now over a week into this government shutdown, and for some
my party, and I'm very disappointed in you because you do have the power to call the House back.
Was this? And I'm going to have a
No, that's the same clip that we already saw. Hold on, how long did this go on?
The Republic life harder.
To
Jeffries and Michael
that were
one of 3 New Yorker
alternative to bring to
escapes.
When was Mike Johnson actually in here? Open Forum Part 1? I thought this was the one where Mike Johnson was in for a bit.
Washington,
like certain
There we go.
appointments or whatever. I think I understand the reason why they have it, but it's the shutdown seems to be more destructive than anything else. And a simple majority would be a much better thing to do. And
What do you think of that, Mr. Speaker?
It's a great question. Thanks for asking that. We've been asked that a lot in the last 24 hours or so.
Cut his ass off.
I run the House. We have a different set of rules. The Senate has a lot of rules and traditions. Some of them seem archaic. The filibuster is a tradition there that people
get about. This is serious business. The other thing is that Trump is a dictator. So it doesn't matter what Johnson does or what the guy over in the Senate does. All the thing that has to happen is if Trump says open the government, it will be open tomorrow. We have to understand that. And they keep talking about we're putting names out there about Trump being the dictator and this and that.
This is not true, but the fact that he believes it is really, really funny. Because again, this is what happens if there's a shutdown and your party controls all three branches of government. He's wrong here, but it does feel that way to a lot of people. Trump can do anything. The Republicans control Congress. Why is the government shut down? They can do whatever they want.
You just called, and he continues to call.
All right, Alexander, and he's talking about Representative Adelita Grijalva being not being sworn in.
Yeah, Alexander gave me a lot to answer there. Let me go real quickly. I typically vote with President Trump. I do because that's my party, and I lead my party in the House, and our agenda is working for the American people. You can make an argument. We had the most productive, successful opening of a Congress and administration in history. The One Big Beautiful Bill was a massive achievement for the American people, and we would need 2 hours.
Still polling negatively.
For me to unpack all the things that you're going to feel and see that are very positive because of that. President Trump's not a dictator. You said if he says open the government, it will open. President Trump has been calling for the government to be open since before this began. In fact, I was in the meeting in the Oval Office with President Trump and, of course, Leader Schumer, Leader Jeffries, Leader Thune, and I. And he pleaded with Chuck Schumer, don't do this, Chuck. Keep the government open. Why would you do it? We have policy disputes and debates and disagreements. We'll work on that. But we shouldn't harm the American people in the process. With regard to Rep-elect Grijalva, she was elected in a special election to fill her father's seat.
This is the person that Mike Johnson refuses to swear in because she would add the vote that would allow the House to demand a vote on the Epstein files. So right, like this, it's a pretty big story too. The House Majority Leader is literally blocking a Democrat from becoming a congresswoman, even though she already won the election. You know, it's essentially like a small House version of the electors crisis back in like if Mike Pence had refused to certify the electors back on January 6th.
That's a great achievement. We applaud her. I look forward to administering the oath of office to her to make her an official member of the House as soon as we get back to regular session. Right now, Chuck Schumer holds the cards on when that can happen because he is the one that has shut down the government, and that is a problem.
And Mr. Speaker, you have there were two others that you did swear in during pro forma sessions. Why won't you do it this time?
Great question. So this was brought up yesterday. Well, you had those two Floridians who you did in a pro forma session when not everyone was there.
That's needed for them to live their life because
or pay troops.
I was wondering today if you could talk to me a little bit about what the Republicans are doing to ensure the security of our rural hospitals.
Oh, man. You're going to die.
I'm concerned here in New Mexico about the security of these hospitals. If you could please fill us in.
Yeah, thanks for the question. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Code, we added a $50 billion fund to support rural hospitals. I have a lot of rural areas in my district in Louisiana.
Out of curiosity, why was that needed? What happened to rural hospitals that required them to get a direct bailout from the federal government?
Hospital provide vital care for lots of people, and they've been struggling because of the policies of the previous administration, frankly, and the way that Obamacare has gotten too costly. It's affecting access to care, all those things. So recognizing the problem, we made that a big part of our big signature legislation, the One Big Beautiful Bill. The problem is right now, and one of the things I'm so upset about,
It's Medicaid funding. Yeah, and having it be this like discretionary fund for the support of rural hospitals means in practice they get to pick and choose which ones live and which ones die. Like that was one of the big negatives of the big beautiful bill. By cutting Medicaid funding, a lot of these hospitals have to shut down because they can't afford to stay open. But don't worry. Now the federal government gets to make its own informed decisions on which rural hospitals it thinks should be able to continue existing.
About is that in the counter proposal for the CR, not only does Chuck Schumer want to spend $1.5 trillion additional dollars and give almost $200 billion in health care back to illegal aliens, which is the funds of hardworking American taxpayers, he also, in the same proposal, go read it, it's on my website at speaker.gov, he wants...
By the way, what the Republicans are proposing here, which is in this funding bill right now that they are trying to get through, which would not renew like Medicaid credits towards certain hospital practices, including use of the emergency room. That's why they're making it about illegal immigrants. What they're saying is like, basically, if an undocumented person there's a whole bunch wrong with it, but the gist of it being like it is still a reduction of funds to hospitals by not giving them Medicaid kickbacks. This is also going to close more hospitals. Like it's getting even worse.
To claw back the $50 billion that Republicans signed into law July 4th to prop up rural hospitals. I can't explain it. You have to ask him about it. But that's a stunning development, and it's something obviously we cannot do.
Pat in New York, line for Democrats. Go ahead, Pat.
GOP congressman got yelled at over rural hospital funding live on air. We'll hear that in this one, then we'll move on.
Good morning. My question is to the Speaker of the House. This here government shutdown has caused a lot of people heartaches. The same way this big, beautiful bill, a lot of people heartaches. And then it will continue to cause people heartaches. So this big, beautiful bill would equal out to be the 2025 resolution or whatever it is they wanted to put into effect. I'm wondering how and what will this do to people? It has already caused a lot of harm. And then we've just, I guess, resolved Israel and Gaza with the war between them. What about the war that is being caused here in America when our president tells the military to shoot Americans, use the cities as war zones? We have to, before we throw stones at another country, we got to look at our own country, the chaos that we're in now. And Representative Johnson, I've heard you say that
these people are the flagstones of American democracy. They have a voter turnout rate of 100%. They can tell you who their mayor and local city council person is. They're the ones holding it up with their fragile arms.
President Trump wants to open the government back up, when your words are different from his, when he says this is his opportunity time to fire people, to close up different organizations and things that have been able to help people. Please explain that to me.
You gave me a lot to work with there, Ms. Pat, and I wish I had about 30 minutes. Let me do it real quick on each of those matters. Number one, with regard to the big, beautiful bill, I'm so sad that you've been told a lot of things that aren't true about that. When the polling goes out and they look at the individual pieces of that large piece of legislation, they're wildly popular with the American people. Most are 80-20 issues in favor.
They're not.
Because what we did is we reduced taxes for hardworking Americans. That bill was written for middle and lower class earners, and
taxes increased for the poorest people, decreased substantially for the wealthiest.
Everybody's going to feel the effect of that if you're in those categories.
That is true.
Very soon, before the election next year, and I think that they'll reward us for that. There's all sorts of provisions.
Oh my God, dude, is he off his game right now? You're so transparent. They'll reward us for that. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to pretend that you're not doing all of this as part of like a cynical political maneuvering thing. You're supposed to pretend that you're like righteously fighting for what's good for the American people. You're not supposed to do that.
Provisions in the bill that help in so many ways. We're propping up rural hospitals. We're getting back to American energy dominance, which is good for national security and the economy, and so many other pro-growth policies. Pause that there because there's lots to talk about in the days to come. What you talked about, President Trump's been accused of saying he wants to have a war on American citizens. I have no idea where that comes from. It's obviously a misleading talking point.
He has explicitly said that and more. He has said that the troops should open fire, cities as war zones, the real enemy is within, etc., etc.
What the president said is He wants to do in the big cities where we have major crime crises what we've done in D.C. They deployed National Guard troops here, and everyone is safe again. People can walk to and from. My young staffers can walk from their car to the building to work and not have their purses stolen and their cars jacked. It was a crisis in D.C., and the liberal Democrat mayor of D.C. has applauded the effort and said, thank you, President Trump, for the reinforcements, because they didn't have enough people in the metropolitan.
That was super cucked of her, by the way, how complicit she's been. She should have been pushing back a lot more, at least rhetorically.
Police to handle the crime crisis. It's handled now. The crime has dropped like 80% in most categories, and it's a
that is not true.
Great thing. So if we can do that in other cities, it helps citizens. Put the politicians aside. Do you want a crime crisis in your city or not? The president is allowing them to go in.
Yeah. The president did say in that speech to military leaders that he wanted to use cities as training grounds for the U.S. military.
Of course. National Guard troops, they drill once a month so they can be trained. Put them in the cities where it's a win-win-win.
An insane thing to have to pivot to and defend, by the way. Like, oh yeah, naturally, just have them use major metropolitan areas as military training grounds. That's a normal thing to do.
Talk to the National Guard troops in D.C. They're enjoying what they're doing. They're walking around smiling. Everybody's smiling here.
So what are they training for? Their jobs as fucking garbage men after the military service ends? What the fuck are we talking about here?
The sun is shining again. Greatest nation in the history of the world. The most beautiful capital city. It should be safe for visitors and tourists and school groups, and it is, and we're proud of that. Last thing, what was the last question? It was a good one, Ms. Pat.
It's okay. Let's go to
all right, good.
Colin in Bryan, Texas, Republican line. Go ahead.
He has a bad poker face, Mike Johnson. You can really tell when when he feels challenged by like a prompt that he's being given to make some bullshit up, because he smiles. He smiles every time. He does not smile unless he's doing this, and he always smiles when he does. When he's given an opportunity to lie. It's got to be wearing on him, though, like knowing that no matter what he does, this is getting blamed mostly on Republicans. Last one we're looking at, then we're moving on.
Your Congressman Max in Silver Spring, Maryland, independent.
Hi, good morning. First of all, I want to address one thing that you just said, sir.
Sure.
You're taking credit for $50 billion that you just gave to the hospital industry. That's after you took away $150 billion. You don't take credit for just giving back a little bit of money after taking away so much. So quit lying. It just makes you look horrible. The real reason why I called, though, was because you keep blaming the Democrats for the government shutdown. Now, you know what? They're in fault, but you're also in fault. You can also turn it around. You can turn
we did our job, Max. We voted for a clean continuing resolution.
Okay,
and
Congressman,
all they had to do was to keep it going.
Can I talk, please?
Okay, Max, hold on.
You're asking multiple questions. I'm going to answer your questions.
Okay, let Max finish this thought, then we'll go to you, Congressman. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, thank you. The Speaker of the House could turn things around, and you guys, the government would be working tomorrow if you guys chose to do so. But instead, you went on vacation. And
bull.
No, you could. You have.
No, that's bull, Max. I'm not on vacation. Go to my social media pages, at Rep. Mark Alford. I'm out each and every day. I talked to a veteran yesterday in our district who's not going to get the mental health care he needs because of the shutdown, Schumer shutdown in Washington, D.C. He has a traumatic brain injury. He is suffering from PTSD. Our caseworkers are in our offices every day, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, without pay, trying to help these people, but Chuck Schumer is standing in the way. And so, sir, I will not take that. I will not take the blame for this.
We'll go to Robert next.
I love seeing this shit, man. I love it so much. It's been a rough shutdown for them. I wonder if they're ever going to like actually attempt to negotiate. Like if Schumer keeps up the pressure for long enough, it's possible this might get drawn out. Just, you know, indefinitely. Record is 35 days. God, I wish. Well deserved, Masaigu. Well deserved.